Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. We have a brand new article from Rosalind Layton, who writes for Forbes, and she's been doing a fantastic job covering the SEC versus Ripple case for the last roughly year and a half, ever since the story broke. And I've covered every single one of her articles because they're absolutely fantastic. And so this latest one, I actually, because I know I'm going to cover it no matter what, I've seen enough of her work to know that she's top shelf when it comes to writing and analysis regarding this case. I actually haven't read this. I skimmed parts of it so we can learn about this one together. But this article was published just yesterday, so it's new here. And it's titled, "The SEC's Crypto Bait and Switch, an Investor's Loss of $15 billion. Now, in skimming through parts of it, I can tell that there's pure gold in here already. And it seemed to me there was one part, at least, where she's talking about this idea of basically the SEC being forced into a position where they kind of have to settle with Ripple, which I think is a very interesting point of view and topic of conversation. And she's right. That actually very well may happen. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, into the belly of the beast. 4 years ago this week, Security Exchange Commission's Director of Corporation Finance, William Hinman, detailed a vision for regulating digital assets. The speech was a bait and switch. It promised the opening of a blockchain revolution, the next chapter in the American innovation success story. In practice, the SEC wants to hammer crypto out of existence. On that fateful day, Hinman said that decentralization of a blockchain ledger, where tokens are being, quote, used to purchase a good or service through the network on which it is created, end quote, could transform a digital asset into a commodity outside the SEC's purview. He opined that once they became sufficiently decentralized, a token and its network could operate without fear of an SEC enforcement action for failing to register like a stock. How wrong he was. So let's pause a note there. You know, as much as we have disdain within the XRP community for William Hinman for a number of reasons and clear appearances of impropriety, perhaps laws were broken, I don't know for sure, so I'm not going to make that allegation, but there's some things that look really bad. Despite that being the case, this approach to crypto in general, if this is what the SEC adopted, I'd actually be behind it. It actually makes a lot of sense. I don't think that you need to take a hammer to the whole system. I don't think you even need to throw out the Howey test, because we're a huge part of the question marks come is when you're looking at the common enterprise prong of the Howey test. But if you have some sort of guidelines that explain what sufficiently decentralized is, then you're like 90% of the way there, at least I would think. Because if something's sufficiently decentralized, there is no common enterprise, which means whatever crypto you're talking about isn't a security. So I don't think you have to like completely tear down the whole system on this, but you do need to add some additional guidelines to provide sufficient clarity, and we're just not there. So again, despite the fact that I have serious disdain for William Hinman, I'd actually agree with this general approach. I think it makes sense. I suspect most of us in the XRP community would probably feel the same. That would be my guess anyway. Anyway, piece continues though. Everyone who participated in launching the first blockchain ledgers like Bitcoin, XRP, and Ethereum understood that decentralization was the point. Blockchain technology was developed to remove friction from the economy and enhance the power of peer-to-peer activity. Now, Bitcoin developed the idea of a currency to trade or store value without bankers involved. XRP became a bridge token for clearing and settling cross-border cash payments without intermediaries. Ethereum became a network for carrying out complex peer-to-peer agreements, nicknamed smart contracts. The millions of hours in code writing and billions of dollars in investment to build these groundbreaking networks were not meant as get-rich-quick schemes. Rather, it was careful engineering to improve the technology of money. Think computers over typewriters or email over letters, and to lessen its cost. Hinman's speech singled out Bitcoin and Ethereum's native token Ether and said they are not securities, sending Ether's price through the roof. But all hope ended there as the SEC took a 180-degree turn from Hinman's speech and launched a barrage of enforcements contrary to Hinman's guidance. Exactly. Well, that's because, well, a couple things. They want to make sure that they've maintained flexibility, right? Which is why instead of having this be official decree from the SEC, it's just a personal opinion. But they did intend for it to be market guidance. That much is certainly clear here. So there's that, but then also consider that you have different people at the top in charge, and they're not necessarily married to all of the ideas of previous leadership. We had an administrative change, obviously. Now you got Gensler taking over for Jay Clayton. So that part shouldn't be surprising either, right? The SEC, it seems very obvious to me, all they really care about is expanding their reach. Like any good government agency will, right? Jesus. I say that a bit sarcastically in case it wasn't obvious. Anyway, peace continues though. On his last day in office in December 2020, then SEC Chairman Jay Clayton, Hinman's boss and hiring manager, filed a lawsuit against Ripple, an enterprise software company that sells cross-border payment solutions to banks and uses XRP to settle transfers. The SEC alleged that XRP's only utility is as an investment contract in Ripple. Further, it characterized every sale of XRP by anyone, be it Ripple, some other company using the XRP, or XRP holders who traded it on the secondary markets without knowing anything about Ripple, is an unregistered securities transaction involving Ripple shares. Bogus claim, man, right? XRP itself is a security, not the way it is packaged and sold. So that's their claim. Worse yet, the SEC made the mind-boggling allegation that everyone should have known XRP was a security since 2013 when its network debuted. And I love this part too. I did read this before recording the video. That would include Hinman and all the SEC staffers who helped him write his 2018 speech, one would presume. Exactly. So think about this. One would assume, since it's been very clear dating back to 2013, presumably, since it's so obvious, Hinman would have known that too, right? And the SEC would have known it. So why'd they allow the unregistered sale of XRP for so damn long? Well, the obvious answer is because they didn't know how to classify crypto and XRP specifically. But now they're pretending that they knew all along, and it's been so obvious. They're a bunch of liars, these freaking asshats. Peace continues. The enforcement action against Ripple is the opposite of what Hinman said. XRP was devised to be a decentralized network from inception. And Ripple controlled less than 5% of the nodes on the network's consensus protocol when it was sued. And furthermore, the suit contradicts the core logic of Hinman's speech, that tokens themselves are not securities, but the way in which they are packaged and sold can create securities transactions. Now, in the Ripple case, the SEC indicts XRP and all who trade it, even if they are buying groceries or gasoline with it in a transaction having nothing to do with Ripple. Ripple's lawyers have used the Hinman speech in their defense, which led the SEC to tell the court that Hinman's speech was irrelevant and his own personal opinion, even though a long list of SEC officials and apparently some Ethereum-connected investors had a hand in writing it. Now, the SEC has fought transparency requests on the genesis of Hinman's speeches relentlessly, the revelation of which could expose potential agency fraud. Innocent XRP holders lost $15 billion in value and entered the case as friends of the court against the agency. They crowdsourced documentation showing Hinman had multi-million-dollar financial interests in a law firm promoting Ripple's competitor, Ethereum. Yeah, so to pause. This is where the aforementioned disdain for Mr. Hinman comes from, right there. That's a huge part of it right there. And of course, all the lies afterwards that he stated, anything having to do with XRP, the bits that we've seen from his deposition, I'm just not buying what that guy's saying. I'm really not. Anyway, peace continues. Hinman's speech could have been a revolutionary turning point for American innovation, but it became an unmitigated disaster. Not only did Hinman deceive the public and materially harm thousands of investors, he and his cohorts brought severe damage to the SEC's credibility and integrity. The SEC made a mockery of its mission to protect investors. However, regulatory scholars are not surprised. They have demonstrated over decades that captured agencies like the SEC favor their preferred players like regulated banks over innovators and consumers. With increasing regulation, Congress has made the problem worse. Now the only backstop is the courts, where aggrieved innovators attempt to get a fair shake. Magistrate Judge Sarah Netburn may order the SEC to end its obstruction and provide the internal documents on Hinman's speech. Now, this could expose the SEC's market deception and force a settlement with Ripple. The first step of a long overdue reckoning for the agency may be at hand. Golf clap for Rosalind Layton. That's a fantastic piece. And I like how she wrapped the article up. It's the same thing I've been screaming from the rooftops, and a lot of others in the XRP community certainly have as well. But it's this idea: if in the end, after all of the appeals, and presumably the SEC is going to go cry to Judge Torres at some point, if in the end the SEC is forced to hand over the emails having to do with the Hinman Ethereum free pass speech and hand over the drafts, and Ripple gets a hold of them, and it's a big part of the case, obviously, that's going to force a settlement. That's exactly what I've been saying for the longest time. Attorney Deaton's been saying it. Rosalind Layton's saying it. A lot of others in the community are saying it. And that's what I think is most probable. There's a reason that my guess, and of course I don't know for sure, it's a speculation, but that's the reason I've been speculating that more likely than not we are going to see settlement here. And too bad, so sad for the rest of the industry. And it actually is. I do mean that. But I said it it might have sounded a little facetious the way that I worded it. That's because when I said it at the moment, I was thinking about all of the organizations out there that are supposed to be, a lot of them are nonprofits, they're supposed to support attacks against the cryptocurrency industry, but so many of them remain silent for the entirety of the SEC versus Ripple case, which is unforgivable, basically, right? So if there ends up being a settlement, and too bad, so sad, you're living in the same world. XRP will be one of the only cryptocurrencies on the planet with you can't legally touch any further. It'll have regulatory clarity for itself at least. But I'll tell you, on a personal level though, I'll still be worried about which cryptocurrency I hold. The SEC is going to try and sue into oblivion next. So there's always that, and I hold close to 30 different cryptocurrencies, I think. So whatever. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because if anything I say are right, that would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.